Hello class, as some of you may or may not know, my name is Brian, and I'd like to talk to you guys about fixed-geared bicycles, also known as fixies. Do you guys know what a fixie is? Well, what sets them apart from other bikes is that they have a drive chain with no free wheel, they have an unusual stopping ability, like basically a skidding technique, and usually a single speed with no brakes. This basically constructs a bicycle whose pedals don't stop unless you force them to using your weight and foot strength, basically. And you have to stop them in rotation, causing the rear wheel to lock in place, allowing the bicycle to skid and slow down from kinetic friction. Oh, and all this creates a bike that can ride backwards, go in reverse, which is my favorite attribute of it. In my opinion, the history of the fixie isn't as interesting as its modern day uses, so I won't bore you with those details. Instead, I'll dive deeper into the advantages and disadvantages of the fixie. One of their main advantages is their low weight, which is thanks to the absence of added parts that would be present in a geared bicycle. It's also a more mechanically efficient bicycle because it requires less energy to operate due to the direct power transfer from rider to wheels. However, the fact that many ride without brakes is dangerous, so that's seen as an advantage. Also, the fact that there is no freewheel is a limitation to keep in mind, especially if you want to avoid a trailing kick to the leg and or losing control. I must admit I'm not very proud of how many times I've experienced that. Um, anyway, enough about me. So I don't have enough time to talk about all of the countries on this list, so I'll just discuss their relation to legality in the US and in Hungary, which is where my family's from. So in the United States, the use of any bike without brakes on public roads is illegal. However, a lot of people get around that and kind of argue against that because the wording's really vague. So they say that the fact that you can stop using your feet um, means that it has brakes. And in Hungary, all the bikes are required. They're a lot more strict. All the bikes are required to be equipped with two independent sets of brakes, front and rear lamps, reflectors, and a bell. I should have known about this law, well, the one in the U.S. when I first bought my fixie a few years ago, since I was susceptible to confrontation with the law, or possibly could have gotten a ticket. But apparently, I kept under the radar, so I'm not gonna be complaining. I still have that fixie, by the way. Didn't bring it here, however, because I didn't want to store it. I didn't know where to store it. This also wasn't very practical. So, and riding in the vast and expansive city of Los Angeles is quite different than the denser city of San Francisco. So I decided to play it safe and leave it at home. Okay, since I'm giving a speech on fixies, I should probably talk about the fixed gear community. However, the saying fixed gear community is quite broad since there are categories within it. So I took it upon myself to categorize them. But this is just my interpretation. So, yeah. There are riders that focus on tricks, there are riders that are track racers, and the urban hipster youth types. Can't visualize what an urban hipster youth type looks like, don't worry. Got you covered on this next picture here. The movie Premium Rush always pops in my head. I don't know why, but yeah, just think of JGL in that mediocre movie. And if you were unfortunate enough to sit through that movie, maybe you'll agree with me when I say that it's like kind of a subculture that they have, and it's fairly easy if you want to join that. Just buy a fixie and rethink your fashion taste, fashion sense. If you're cool looking like this guy, then maybe the fixie of your life is the life for you. Maybe after seeing that picture, you can guess that they have a refined and specific taste in fashion. Professor Hunt wrote a piece on fixie culture, which was consistent with a lot of the pictures I'm about to show you guys. For the most part, this is what a stereotypical fixed gear rider is imagined to look like in the urban kind of scenery. And their image isn't the only thing that they customize either. They have a similar approach to their bikes. The spectrum is vastly varied. Some are over the top, while others are very minimalistic. From colorful to vintage, they do it all. But not everybody is built for the fixie life. There are specific people I'd recommend it to. like adventurous and athletic types, mainly people who are trying new things and willing to deal with some scraped up calves because, you know, that can get kind of frustrating. But I'd say it's worth it because, I mean, it's pretty cool to ride a bike in reverse, and um, people make cool pictures of Kanye West on Pixies, so it's kind of advantage there. Thanks.